Hey, high school hockey fans, welcome back to another edition of This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey. I'm Mike Hammond, along with me, Trasher, Burglar, Bill Jr., and also Del Scanlon. And we got a special guest tonight, Michael. You want to introduce our guest and take it away?
All right, thanks, MJ. Tonight we have Cory McCracken, the head coach of the Notre Dame Academy Tritons. Welcome, Cory. How are you doing this evening?
Thanks, Michael. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. We'll get right into it. Notre Dame Academy, currently first in the Division I rankings. Right now you have a 5-0 record. You've been pretty much spotless this year. Tell me a little bit about the season to date.
Yeah, it's been a good start for our team. Like you said, we're 5-0 on the early part of our season, and just getting a taste of what's out there in high school hockey this year. I like our group. I think, obviously, when you return a bunch of players from the year prior, it gives you a little bit of a head start on other teams that are building a season, and we're certainly trying to do the same thing. But I think as we build ours from the goaltending position out, it's been a consistent start for our group and a good balance of good goaltending followed by a group of D that are have some depth and some experience, and then our forward group is finding a way to put pucks in the net this year.
Okay, well, you're talking about from the goal out, and you have Bo Buckley in net, who's been a pretty solid player for the last 2 or 3 years. Right now, it looks like his stats show him with a .962 save percentage. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Buckley.
Yeah, Bo's a very good goaltender. This was his 4th year in our program. He got thrown into the fire a little bit as a freshman. We had our senior goaltender that year get hurt right around Christmas time, so he was thrown into the fire a little bit earlier than we thought he would. And so he's got a ton of experience, and then he's used that to his advantage. This year he's off to a really good start. He was really solid for us in the first period against Northland Pines on Saturday night. And tested as well in the early part of our season playing Superior and Eau Claire Memorial. So he's risen to the occasion, and it looks like he's on track to have a really good season.
And one of my favorite players on your team, kind of close to my heart because I knew him when he was just a little kid, Jacob Conrad. He used to be in the Stevens Point Youth Hockey Association. Now he's over playing in Notre Dame, and hard to believe that he's a senior this year. Tell us a little bit about Jacob.
I think, in my opinion, Jacob might be one of the most quiet, high-end defensemen in the state of Wisconsin as a senior. He's just exceptional at what he does, and he's not flashy. He's not going to skate the puck and lead the rush. He's an exceptionally gifted defenseman with his stick. His footwork's really good, and if you notice him when you play the game, it's because he's making 5- and 10-foot exit plays. His puck recovery is really, really good, and deservedly so. He's getting a lot of attention for himself for the next level, which for him next year hopefully will put him into the USHL if he continues on this path. But he's had a really, really good career for us. He's played since he was a freshman in high school as a starting varsity defenseman. His game has grown. He's a quarterback of our power play, so he's got a lot of skill attached to his game as well. He's really, really solid at what he does, and there really isn't a flaw or a weakness in his game. He keeps improving every single year. He's just a phenomenal kid.
And he's not a really big kid. He's 5'11", I think 155 he was listed at. Kind of reminiscent maybe of a defenseman you had a few years ago that won a Mr. Hockey Award.
Yeah, maybe Mr. Stillwell. He's very similar in a lot of ways to Tony, and Tony was an exceptional skater, and Jacob's much the same. And obviously we've got a lot of game film to show guys on Tony Stillwell when he played and what he was exceptionally good at, and Jacob's taken a lot of those pieces and added them to his game. But Jacob plays bigger than 5'11" and 155. He uses his body well. He gets inside position quite frequently, and he understands how to leverage his stick and take time and space away from players that may be a little bit bigger or stronger than he is. So he certainly plays a lot bigger than his 5'11", 155 frame for sure.
And I know if he happens to get a little bit of a growth spurt here, his dad is a pretty good sized guy, Monty Conrad, who was a UWSP star back in the day.
Oh yeah, Monty played in the day where it was hard and heavy, and he's got the body style for that. He's a Madison East kid growing up and played at UWSP, won some national championships on a really good college team there, and Monty coaches our back end right now with our defensemen. He's done a phenomenal job with that group. But, if he grows into his dad's body, he's going to be just fine.
Okay, on the forward line, you got players like Sawyer Scholl, Brendan Poshak. Those are two of the top names that I recognize. I know they've had a lot of success in the past. Sawyer Scholl especially is an interesting story. He got hurt late in the year last year and missed some time now, didn't he?
He did. He broke his wrist in our Christmas tournament last year and missed 6 weeks. So he missed basically December 27th through February 1st or 2nd. So he missed a large chunk of our season last year, unfortunately, because he was having himself a really good junior year. And he's rebounded really well this year. He led the Team Wisconsin 18 team in points in the fall, was a part of the IIT team that gets selected. So a handful of Team Wisconsin kids get selected to go to the IIT tournament at the end of the Elite League season. He was one of those, and he's done a real nice job for himself. He's developed into a really, really nice player that's going to play the game for quite some time.
All right. Enough about Notre Dame. You guys have gotten off to a great start. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts early on, and maybe going back even to the discussions about it, the thing that everybody's talking about, the two divisions in the boys hockey world.
Well, there's some positives, there's some negatives, and there's been a lot of banter about two divisions in high school hockey. I think for us as a coaches association and a group of high school coaches, we'd like to see it be 8 teams in one division and 4 in another to go to a state tournament and be able to add additional teams and showcase high school hockey in the state of Wisconsin. And obviously we throw that to the WIA and they take a look at it and they make their decision. And obviously they decided that 4-4 split would be a better way for them to go. We're not necessarily in line with that as a coaches association, but it obviously offers some teams that are Division II, the lower enrollment-based teams, an opportunity to do something they might not otherwise get a consistent opportunity to do on a year in and year out basis, and that's compete for a sectional title and get themselves a chance to go to Madison. So I think it's good in that sense. But you look at some of how this is all played out, and you really don't know all this information until the WIA releases it as far as sections and where they're going to put teams and how they're geographically going to map it out. And obviously you look at Section 1, and it's loaded with a lot of heavy Division I teams on a year-by-year basis. So, that's going to be a gauntlet in the late part of our playoff stretch to see who advances out of that section. It's just, I'm not sure it's the right thing for high school hockey growth in the state of Wisconsin. I think it's, from a WIA perspective, I understand where they're going with it. I'm just not sure it's going to showcase our sport the right way at the high school level and do it fair justice for what we would like it to do as a high school coaches association.
Okay, so the way I understood this is that this is a 2-year experiment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the way I understand it as well.
Okay, so after 2 years, if there's a lot of, let's say, pissing and moaning, pardon my French, do you think the WIAA will maybe go to the 8-4 format, which is what we all would really love to see?
You would think, and that would be a positive thought process in our part as a coaches association. We're certainly going to lobby for that format. But again, it's a numbers-based situation for the WIA, and they want to see a certain number of teams to go 8-4. And I think their thought process with it is by going to 2 divisions, it would help some of the co-ops break up potentially and add additional schools and teams representing their local community that would expand high school hockey to a sense that would allow us to go to 8-4. It's too early to tell how that's going to play out. Right now, it looks like, some of the teams like Fond du Lac Springs, as an example, broke their co-op up to fall into the guidelines in Division II, and that's their process as their team in their school. But I think we'll see as time plays out if in this 2-year window there's going to be enough new teams that break off in co-ops that could actually add enough teams to go 2 divisions. I'm just hoping they see the benefit of having more teams and different opportunities for different teams in the high school side of things to advance to the state tournament and grow the game the way they should grow it versus, handcuffing it a little bit with some of the teams that you'd like to potentially compete to get to the Madison environment and get to the state tournament and offer teams an opportunity that come from smaller communities, the same opportunity. And right now it looks like we're just kind of going in a dead end direction from a growth of high school hockey in our state, in my opinion.
Well, Back in the mid 2000s, like 2004, 2005, somewhere in there, they had talked about getting up to 96. We need 96. That's the magic number. Once we get to 96, we'll split to two. We'll do a 64 and a 32. Well, we never quite got there. I think it was either 93 or 94 teams was the max, and it's gone downhill. And now in the year 2019, there's 83 boys teams total. There's 51 in D1 and 32 in D2 to make the 4x8 sectionals. What do you think caused that regression from almost there to now all of a sudden it's going downhill?
I think it's a combination of things, to be honest with you. I think there's when you have co-ops and you have kids coming from different areas in co-op schools, if those kids potentially don't continue to matriculate into their parent co-op school, then it becomes an issue where they lose the 4 or 5 feeder kids out of that program, so it cuts numbers down a little bit. I think there's the other situation of just where the natural curve in high school hockey and any sport does. You're going to see growth in some areas and decline in others, and I think you've seen that the last 12 or 13 years in our state, is that some of the areas, like I'll use Green Bay as an example, right? When we went to WIA hockey back in 2005, 2006, there was 6 local teams playing in this area. Now we've lost the GBU program. They're a JV-only program because of the feeder system out of Green Bay area youth hockey doesn't support the Green Bay United program, and they're still working through their number situation. So I think it's just a situation of, do we have enough numbers to keep growing the sport? And the only way you do that is the youth programs need to have success. But like in the Green Bay area, as an example, we have Green Bay Youth Hockey, which feeds Notre Dame Academy, it feeds Schwabenon, it feeds Bayport, it feeds Green Bay United. So you have one youth program, so you have 3 Bantam teams in one youth program that are going to ultimately feed the other high school teams in that area. And then locally in some other communities, like you look at Superior as an example, all the kids in Superior youth hockey feed into the Superior high school program. The ones that don't go private and go to Duluth Marshall or cross the border and open enroll somewhere in Duluth, they stay in Superior. So it's a little different situation there. I don't know what the answer to that is. I just know that it's probably not going to change if we don't offer an opportunity for additional teams to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to grow grassroots-based hockey in their local community. And that's the thing that's got to drive it from the bottom up, is the numbers have to support it from a year in and year out basis.
Yep, absolutely. I've always said that you need to, the bottom of the pyramid needs to be a lot bigger than it is at the top. And, sometimes if that bottom of the pyramid is not big enough, the top end of it all suffers.
Yeah, it's 100% right.
Okay, guys, I'll open up the floor to you. Any questions for Cory?
Well, I got one. This is Burglar. We're heading into holiday tournament time. Last year, the Showdown in Titletown was the holiday tournament. Is that the deal again this year?
It is, yeah. We have our tournament. Thanks for asking. December 26th, 27th, and 28th will be the dates this year for our tournament. And all 8 teams are from the state of Wisconsin. So we open up with Spash on the 26th at noon. That's followed by Edgewood and Neenah right after that at 2:30. And then we'll see a Verona-Eau Claire Memorial game, followed by the last game of the night. And that'll be Wausau West. And Superior will be the last game of the night for us that night. So those are the 8 teams this year. It should be a really fun tournament. It always is super competitive, and it's about the time of the year where things have leveled out a little bit. The teams have found their identity, and it gets to be some really good competitive hockey.
Yeah, I know, but your younger guys have worked their way into a position, and lines are starting to gel and all that kind of stuff. So that's good. I know some of us will be there for part of that, most of their. I know we'll cover quite a bit of that because that's always a good tournament to go and see.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Any coverage you guys can give us would be great.
Cory, how is it from a scouting level there, talking about junior hockey, college hockey? How is the scouts receiving it? How are they? What are they saying about it?
Yeah, it's been very positive, since we started this tournament many years ago. I think we're on our 10th or 11th year doing this now. That it was really strong in the first 5 or 6 years when we had it in January. It was always that third weekend in January. Super strong, and it still gets a really good turnout every year. We get a ton of guys that come in from the North American League. The USHL is well represented, and then there'll be some college guys that'll be in attendance as well. We had 4 or 5 college teams last year that came in and watched us play. So it's a great opportunity for the kids. We typically have a field of 7 other really competitive teams in our state, so kind of bring some of the better teams together over the course of a 3-day week, so to speak, from a holiday tournament perspective. So it gives guys an opportunity that want to track the players have been tracking since the fall or last year and see how they're progressing right now. It gives them that opportunity. So it's been a really, really good experience, and we've had a lot of kids have some success coming out of this tournament because of that.
Okay. Yeah, if you can just send Trasher the bracket for that, we'll get that up on our tournament list and look forward to that. Thank you.
Check. Will do. Thank you.
All right, guys. That's Cory McCracken, Notre Dame Academy. Cory, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Congratulations on a great year so far, and best wishes for continued success, my friend.
Well, just a spoiler, we've done the tabulation. You're still ranked number 1.
Well, for one more week maybe. We'll see how that goes. But I certainly appreciate that, guys. Thanks so much, and for all you do for high school hockey. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Cory.
Thanks, Cory.
Thanks for good holidays, guys. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Spoilers.
All right, MJ, back to you.
All right. Well, let's see where we're at here. Our games of the week: USM taking on Nina Hortonville Menasha. Trash, you were at that game. What did you see?
I saw a lot. It was at a brand new rink, the Community First Champion Center in Grand Chute, which is just a smidge outside of Appleton. It's actually half a mile northwest of the Fox River Mall, and it's about half a mile west of the Timber Rattler Stadium. So it's pretty close. It's an awesome facility, very beautiful. They have also have volleyball and basketball courts. But more importantly, they have a very nice arena for hockey, and we got a chance to see the University School of Milwaukee Wildcats take on the Nina Hortonville Menasha Rockets. And the U School came out with a 3-2 victory. Early on in the game, first period there was no scoring. Second period, Nina got the first goal with Drew Sutton scoring, and then in a 5-minute span, Kyler Ringgold and Ethan Thoms scored to give University School a 2-1 lead going into the third period. Ringgold scored again 3 minutes into the third for his second goal of the game, and interestingly enough, that was his second goal of his high school career, which I think was 31 or 32 games, something like that. First time he had scored a varsity goal, and he scored 2 of them in this game. And Thomas Burns scored a goal later on in the game with about 1:34 left, but it left the Rockets a little bit short as the U School Wildcats took a 3-2 victory. Shots were pretty scarce in the game. University School had 23 shots. Nina had 12. It was a pretty good defensive battle. Third period, there were only 3 shots by each team, so there was a lot of scrambling around and a lot of defense and not a heck of a lot of offense, but they somehow still managed to score a goal apiece in the third. Good game, though, between University School, who was ranked in I think they were like third going in. Nina Hortonville Menasha, I believe, was 6th. So 2 top 6 teams, a good contest. Both coaches were, obviously Jason Woods was a little happier on the University School bench because they got the win, but Jeff Lindeman I think saw the fact that his team could play with U School, who was ranked a little bit higher. So a good battle, a good game, a good contest. U School 3-2 over Neenah Hortonville Menasha in the boys' game of the week.
I ran into Jason Woods last week, and it seems like the guy is always smiling for some reason. He's always in a good mood. Let's move on to Northland Pines taking on Black River Falls on the girls' side. And Del Scanlon, you had the chance to check it out.
Yep, I made the trip up to Black River Falls, and Northland Pines, Black River Falls was there for a game, and it was a tight game. There was no scoring till late in the second period when there was a scramble in front of Matheson, the goalie for Black River Falls, and the scramble, the puck ends up sliding into the net to give the Eagles a 1-0 lead with 1:28 remaining in the second period. And that score would hold up till late in the third period when the Eagles ended up scoring 2 empty net goals to seal a 3-0 victory. The shots in this game were very even, 25 shots on goal for Black River Falls compared to 24 shots on goal for the Eagles. And, I mean, a very tight game, very well played. Penalties, there's a few penalties called in the third period where both teams got called for 2 penalties. But otherwise, a very clean played game. And it was the Eagles being able to take advantage, even with a short bench. They came with 11 skaters that day, and a very good game up in Black River Falls. 2 teams there to compete, and it came out with the Eagles on top, 3-0. Back to you, MJ.
Okay, thanks a lot, Del. And there's for our 2 games of the week. Trasher and Del had the chance to check them out. It's time for our Wyndham Garden Inn of Fitchburg Players of the Week. We've got one for the girls' side, one for the boys' side, and Burglar is going to tell you who they are. Bill? We can't hear you.
All right, here we go.
There we go.
You always tell me to put it on mute when, somebody else is talking. So anyway, the Wyndham Garden Inn of Fitchburg, the official state tournament headquarters of Wisconsin Prep Hockey, sponsors our Players of the Week. And I'm going to keep with my theme of spoilers because on the girls' side, we have Lexi Holman from the Cap City Cougars, who we might hear about later. On Tuesday last week, she had 20 saves, gave up 1 goal, and a 3-1 win over the Metro Lynx, a top 6 team. On Friday, she had 29 saves, gave up 1 goal, in a 3-1 win over the Central Wisconsin Storm, previously ranked number 1. And on Saturday, only 6 saves, and but they were all important because it was just a 1-0 win over Arrowhead. So stopping 55 shots out of 57 attempts. Lexi Holman, goaltender of the Cap City Cougars, is our girls' player of the week. On the boys' side, we have Aiden Lenz, a sophomore forward from Madison Edgewood. On Tuesday, in a 13-3 win over Milton, he had 2 goals and 3 assists, total of 5 points. On Friday, 5-4 win, tight win over Madison West, 1 goal and 3 assists, contributing on 3 out of the 5 goals. And on Saturday, a 5-3 win over Monona Grove, another goal and 2 assists. So Aiden Lenz of Madison Edgewood is our boys' Wyndham Garden Player of the Week.
That continues our 2-week tradition of not giving the Player of the Week award to the coach we had on that week who nominated somebody else.
And I'm going back on mute.
Are you telling our coaches that if they nominate a player, don't come on as our guest that week?
That might be something worth thinking about. I mean, Cory is usually pretty good about submitting people throughout the course of the year. So I mean, he would just have to never come on. But 2 weeks in a row, we got nominations from those coaches, and their players didn't win.
Well, guys, you also kind of a side discussion from that is that both Mike McCursey from last week of the Metro Lynx and Cory McCracken this week offered a lot of great insight and a lot of great information on what's been happening so far for not only their teams but for high school hockey in general. So we're just happy to have them.
Last week I wasn't here. You had Mike McCursey on?
We did.
He only agreed to come on if you weren't going to be here.
I wasn't.
Not only was MJ not here, but he just admitted that he didn't listen to the show afterwards, nor did he read any of the email chains leading up.
I had all the faith in the world you guys could do it without me. But McCursey, I've known him for quite a while. He's a character, all right. Let's go ahead and move on here. Check out our notes that we got here. Let's go on to the top 6. I almost said top 10, but it's a top 6. Bill Jr., you've been doing the counting and tabulating, and you've got some results for us.
No, Trasher does the counting and tabulating. Now I just do the announcement. But
Okay.
This week, lots of shakeups on the girls' side. The Cap City Cougars stormed up to number 1. The Eau Claire Area Stars are 2nd. Central Wisconsin Storm is 3rd. The Fox City Stars are 4th. The Metro Lynx are 5th. And the St. Croix Valley Fusion are 6th. Division 2 for the boys. Fond du Lac Springs moves up to number 1. Northland Pines is 2nd. McFarland is 3rd. Superior is 4th. Rice Lake is 5th. And Lakeland is 6th. And Division 1 for the boys, Notre Dame Academy is number 1, Wausau West number 2, USM number 3, I believe those are the same as last week. Verona is 4th, Neenah Hortonville Menasha is 5th, and Chippewa Falls moves into the 6th spot with their win over Hudson.
I just like to comment. We all vote, and a bunch of the coaches vote. But when I was looking at we talked last week about some teams that we don't always mention, when we did the top 10. So like Amory was on there, and so I looked, how did Amory do this week? Oh, they lost to Lakeland. Oh, Lakeland. We rarely talk about Lakeland on here, and I went, well, how's Lakeland doing? Oh, they're like 6-1. Who was their loss to? Rhinelander. Come on. You lost to Rhinelander? And now we got you ranked in the top 6, and you lost to Rhinelander? Come on, guys. Send your hate mail to Trasher.
No. Send your hate mail to burglar at wisconsinprephockey.net. Come on. You're from up in that red neck of the woods. Come on. Don't give them hell.
Well, even looking at the D1, it's going to be interesting watching how the top 6 fluctuates throughout the season, because one of the teams that I'm expecting to see move up in there in the next couple of weeks is Arrowhead. I mean, they come up with a couple more good wins. They've been right on the cusp of being up there in the top 6 the last couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure. The D2 is going to be interesting. That one's really going to fluctuate, I think, throughout the year. And we know the girls is going to end up changing off and on.
Well, even in the D1, we've got a new face in there in Chippewa Falls. I think they're unbeaten yet. They don't have a lot of marquee wins on their schedule, but they bumped Hudson off of the top 6. I think Hudson was on there last week. Chippewa Falls beat them, took their place. They've got a couple of tough games coming up this week. We'll see if Chippewa Falls is still there next week. They play Superior on Tuesday and Eau Claire Memorial on Thursday. So, chance for Chippewa Falls to solidify their place in the top 6, with a decent showing against those teams.
You are correct, burglar. Chippewa Falls is 6-0, and Coach Scotty Parker has the team going very well. And in the past, they've kind of been flirting with the honorable mention, top 10 rankings, and this year they're up into the top 6. So, yeah, I mean, they got a few tough games ahead of them, but we'll see what happens. And, yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens in the D2, because I think there's going to be some fluctuation there, but I disagree with Dell in the girls' top 6, because I think that's going to be pretty solid throughout the year.
Yeah, I think Scott Parker's been at Chippewa Falls for forever?
Yeah, a lot of years.
I mean, in the past, I mean, there have been some very good individual players come out of Chippewa Falls. Just recently, but the name escapes me.
Jordan Steinmetz.
Okay. And this year, I was looking at their team stats, and they're pretty well balanced. Isaac Fournette is their leading scorer with 15 points, but then, you got Isaac Lindstrom with 11, Sawyer Bowe with 8, three more guys with 8, Ben Steinmetz with 7, so they're a pretty balanced attack. They've been scoring a lot of goals, so we'll see if they can keep it up this week.
And their goalie, Bridger Fixmer, who graduates in 22, so what does that make him, a sophomore?
Sophomore.
Yeah, he has 24 save shutout against Marshfield, 17 save shutout against Menominee, 19 save shutout against Anago. He had 42 saves in the 4-3 win over Hudson. He's got a .955 save percentage on the year and a 1.20 goals against average.
And a great name, Bridger Fixmer. And fortunately for Chippewa Falls, I don't see Rhinelander on their schedule.
And weirdly enough, and maybe I'm wrong on this, you guys might not know, but it seems to me that Fixmer is a name that has some Rhinelander roots. It seems to me there was like a basketball player that maybe played over there that was a Fixmer. I'd have to check on that, but yeah. But the kid is playing a hell of a game so far, and best wishes to him. Hopefully him and all the other goalies continue to keep the pucks out of the net, but then that's kind of not very friendly toward the goal scorers, right?
Goal scorers are showboat and puck
our
hogs.
concern. Yeah.
Puck hogs.
Hogs of the puck.
All right, guys.
All right, let's move on, right?
Upcoming games of the week we got coming up. The girls, the Metro Lynx take on the ECA Stars on Saturday. Dell will be at that game. That should be a pretty good game. And also on the boys' side, Fond du Lac Springs takes on Fond du Lac on Friday. And Trasher will be at that one. Michael, Blue Line Center, is that where it's going to be at?
Yes, sir. Fond du Lac Blue Line Ice Center.
Family Ice Center.
Family Ice Center. Yeah, there's a big helicopter right next to it. And that is the Sturgeon Cup. It's the battle between Fond du Lac Springs and Fond du Lac, the two teams from that city. Lake Winnebago, which is just to the north, has had or still has sturgeons in it, and I believe that is the reference of the sturgeons, the Sturgeon Cup. So that should be a good battle. Talked to Fond du Lac coach John Schubert earlier in the week, and he says expect a big crowd. Fondy Springs coach John Welsh, same thing. He says it's going to be a big battle, so a good game. Come on down. If you guys are in the Fond du Lac area, definitely come out to watch this game. If you're a high school hockey fan in that area, should be an awesome contest. And I will be there, MJ.
I was going to say, in regards to MJ, I hope it's at the Blue Line Family Ice Center, since that's both teams' home arena.
So during this game, if somebody scores a hat trick, do they throw a sturgeon onto the ice?
Oh.
Trasher's on mute.
His lips are moving, but there's nothing coming out of there.
I got it now. I got it. I thought I hit it, but I think
You
that's
lips
just up.
move, but I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's just up in Spooner where they used to throw the fish out on the ice. But I'm not sure if there's going to be any sturgeon available for this one.
Sturgeon are kind of ugly anyways.
Yeah, they're like prehistoric, kind of
Yeah.
like us, right?
Yeah.
We are the sturgeon of hockey
And the
podcast.
Yes, indeed.
the Fondy Cardinals look to be back in shape. They're only 4 wins shy of last year's total. At 6-0 this year, they only had 10 wins last year. So it looks like they're back in shape after a down year or two.
No, you should have.
Do they play Rhinelander this year? I should get off this Rhinelander thing. I'm going to get hate mail. Again.
MJ Lagus is going to be sending you hate mail, buddy.
There's going to be a hodag in your front yard.
You ho. Daggett?
Final thoughts on that note. We got a few, and who wants to take care of them?
All right, well, I'm going to start out with the coaches and admin stuff. For the team pages, if you are in charge of your team pages, kind of make sure your schedules are all in place. Check them out and make sure there's like no duplicates. You can always delete a duplicate game because occasionally the two contestants that are playing will both enter the games and then it shows up as two separate games. So take a look at that. Make sure to get all your stats in, and that includes the scoring live for both teams to make sure everybody gets credit for what has actually gone down in the games. Roster page, take a look at that. Try to clean that up if you can. Basically, you're looking at a few things like the name, the number, the position.
Delete the kids that graduated last year.
Yes.
Yes, it's always.
Yeah, because we don't always get around to that.
No, it's always good to put the graduation year rather than if you put freshman, sophomore, whatever. They didn't go and change it next year. If you just put the graduation year, then it makes it real easy. Next year, just delete everybody who graduated in 2020.
Yeah.
So now you'd be deleting. And pictures. If you have pictures, like for instance, for our Player of the Week, we have a little widget on the home page where it has a picture of the Player of the Week. I'll tell you right now, we do not have a picture for Lexi Holman of the Cap City Cougars. So anybody from the Cap City Cougars, if you can get a picture of Lexi Holman up on that page, it'll end up on our front page. Otherwise, it's just going to be that. Otherwise, we have a default picture of MJ kind of in a shadow.
The silhouette type thing.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's what's there. We don't have a picture. It's a grayed out MJ.
Yep. Jeff Thornton. If you got a picture of Lexi, pop that baby up there so we can get it on the front page.
And as far as games go, the proper etiquette for games is the home team should be entering all the game details. And if they have not done it within 24 hours of the game's completion, and the visiting team has the wherewithal, then they can enter the stats. But you give the home team 24 hours to get the stats in. If they don't do it, the visiting team can do it. If there's if there ends up being any discrepancies, somebody has to send us a score sheet, and we are the final arbiters of that based on whatever is on the official score sheet.
Yes, and we received an email, or I received an email today about a goalie that apparently had not been credited with the proper amount of saves. Well, it looks like the team that entered the stats didn't quite get it right. So, I mean, we need to see the score sheet. We can't just take your word for it. I mean, as much as we'd like to, if you tell us your kid had 73 saves and allowed one goal when the score sheet actually says he allowed one goal and had 22 saves, it's not just going to work. So, get the score sheets to us. We will definitely make it right, but we need to see a little proof. I mean, as harsh as that sounds, we've had issues in the past where it didn't work out right, so we're trying to do the right thing here.
Also,
And,
when you go ahead, Del.
Real quick, Superior Girls team, I did receive your individual photos from your coach in an email. They will be on your team page no later than Wednesday evening this week.
Also, when you enter those game sheets, don't just enter your team only. Please enter the stats for both teams on the sheet, not just your own individual team. We ask that politely, please. That's something you forgot to cover, Trasher.
I'm sorry. I just thought that the majority of the people that entered the score sheets worked from the score sheet with both teams, goals and assists, penalties, saves, goals allowed, etc. But exactly. So make sure that you enter the sheet and use all information on the sheet to complete your game stat report. I think that's all I got, buddy.
Okay, and the other thing then is that we made a call out last week for holiday schedules, and thank you to the dozen or so coaches or parents or team reps, whatever, who have sent us holiday tournament information. But we suspect, based on previous years, that there are still a few tournaments out there that we've not gotten schedules for or information about. So please, if your team is if you're a parent, if you're a assistant coach, athletic director, or anybody listening, if you know your team is going to a holiday tournament, send us the schedule, the brackets for the tournament. We'd like to have everything up before Christmas and get all this stuff set. Like I said, thanks to those who have already sent us stuff, and I think we're missing a few yet, so get them in.
Okay, guys, anything else you want to add? I see Trasher's kind of flown the coop on us. Well, if nobody wants
I don't think we have to wait for him to come back, do we?
No.
Del says no. MJ says no. Bill says no. All right, wrap her up. Take us home,
Okay.
MJ.
Okay. Well, we'll try to do better next time, but want to thank Cory McCracken for spending a little bit of time with us and talking, and for Dell, the Berg boys, and an absent Trasher. I'm Mike Hammond. Hey, we'll catch you next week here on This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey.